Oz kits weren't, I don't find, were good as relics. Like you had a duality relic, like in an atmosphere. Could you imagine if the bone was like, if you was in a cold weather climate, you would get cooldown rate. I mean, you get more fire. Yeah, you'd get more cooldown rate. But then if you was in a warm area, you would get more fire damage. Like people would be like, "No, that's stupid." But some people accepted that as Oz kits. Like to me, there wasn't enough variation in the amount, the capacity. Like they capped out at 200 through max levels, so you could get through playthrough 1 and get some as high as like 168 capacity, and then they topped out at like 200. They did do a little better by making more and more varied legendary Oz kits, where there wasn't really good legendary relics. So I think they did a better job on that, but I didn't like the duality because one, you could never get the one you wanted. There never was any good ones. Like in an atmosphere you do more burn damage, but not in an atmosphere you do more cryo damage. They didn't have that one. So I didn't like the dualities. I didn't like the I think the bomber gave you more. The bomber gave you some more damage. I don't remember what it was. It was pretty good because you could get a cryo Arctic bomber, I think it was called, and you would get extra cryo damage. But then the extra cryo damage was bugged on them. They would always say cryo damage 0, but they would have cryo stomp damage. So you could freeze enemies, and then, you know, I think you get like grenade damage or something. I don't remember what it was. But since a cryoed enemy would take more damage, you could, you know, throw a bonus package at them and just annihilate them. And I didn't find those were too good. The hyperventilators were totally useless because they would give you more gun damage based on how much oxygen you didn't have, but then oxygen canisters would drop and they wouldn't let me hyperventilate. Like, I'd kill an enemy and then they would drop a dang oxygen canister and then auto pickup. And I'm like, they don't let me hyperventilate, so those are totally useless. And so if you had full oxygen and you was in an atmosphere, it did absolutely nothing because you could never have missing oxygen. You could just like boost and boost and boost and boost, and then you just keep getting your oxygen back. And so the bonuses never really got that big, so I didn't really think that was that good of an O2 kit. And then where was the cooldown Oz kits? Where was the, you know, Allegiance Oz kits? To me, relics were much better. You could fine-tune the character you wanted, where you couldn't with Oz 2 kits. I always found like nothing really fit the bill, and all I wanted was the one that
I see a badass!
Basically, the more oxygen you had, the more gun damage you have. And basically what you would do was balance out. This one gives me plus, you know, 0.015 damage per, or 0.15 damage per Oz kit, but it only has 150 capacity. This one gives me 14.14 damage, but it has 162, and you have to pull out the calculator and see which one was better. How did he get behind me? I didn't even see him. Why he didn't annihilate me, man? Badass behind me should have annihilated me, at least put me down. I didn't even know he was back there. And then, So I was constantly pulling out the calculator going, well, this one does like a hair more gun damage. Like, you know, a 163 versus a 168. Like, well, the 168 stomp damage isn't in the element I want, but it does more damage versus the stomp damage in the element I want, you know, versus slightly more damage. That was the only nuance the Oz kits had for me. And then once you got like an Eddie, like the Moonlight Sagna was kind of interesting, but only Claptrap could use it because you was the only one that could survive with the 50 oxygen capacity it had, and then the bonuses on it weren't really good enough for Claptrap. He was the only one who could use it, but the bonuses really didn't do him enough good to make me a Claptrap only class mod. So I thought it was interesting, but I didn't see no point. And so I hope in Borderlands 3 they keep relics and ditch the Oz kits. I didn't think there was anything good about the Oz kits. I would have rather had relics, and I hope they do like at least a 5-player multiplayer, or just scale it. That way enemies could even get even more powerful, because the more enemies in the game, I mean the more players in the game, the more powerful. Could you imagine 6 times damage?
These guys really are just sitting around burning one another for giggles.
I think that would be more interesting than.
Nice.
I hope they scale, like the OP levels are just like automatically scaled to 4-player difficulty. I hope they make the raid bosses for in-game scale down for 1 player. Kind of like Pyro Pete, you beat him in story mode and then he becomes raid boss Pyro Pete. But he's still beatable in single player in the other playthrough modes. And he's available, but he doesn't drop crystals unless you beat him in 4-player mode. And I'm like, well, Pyro Pete's okay, so I'm kind of okay with that. So you can just beat Pyro Pete, get all your crystals, and play with all the Seraph guns. But I kind of wish they'd make it to where all the raid bosses are. Don't make any stupid bosses like. I don't know of anybody who likes fighting. What's his name? What is that dude's name? The guy in the cage that's got the worms and you can't do any damage to him. Only the acid damage. Either you have to absorb his acid damage, or he has to absorb the acid damage. And for like a single player to go in there, like Maya can't carry enough grenades. You know, you need a Quasar kind of to pull him through the acid, and Maya can't carry enough grenades in there. And if you get stuck without, you know, a grenade to pull him over the acid, you have to absorb the acid, then you have to try to heal up the acid damage, and then you have to try to kill a worm and hope it drops a grenade so you could pull him through. And it's really a 4-player, and it's not really designed to be. And then like at the OP levels, you really can't do it. And then I think some people, like a lot of people were saying you can't even kill Veracitus at OP8 because his shield's too big, so you have to do the thing where somebody has to have an OP8 Transpasser, and you have to kill it, you know, kill the shield before it gives it to Veracitus. And just make better bosses, make them to where you beat them in story mode, learn their mechanics, then they scale up for one player if it's 1 player in the game, 2 players if it's 2 players in the game, 3 players if 3 players in the game, and 4 players. Just build better bosses with bigger health and bigger thing, and then make them where, you know, don't do all this crazy crap where you know, you got to beat them in 4-player mode and to get Seraph crystals. Make the game more accessible to single player, and that includes the raid bosses. And then I was kind of hoping, like I said, Axton is 100% replacement for Roland, who's dead. And then wait, yeah, I still got to do the chance to get the pyrophobia. And then see, the pyrophobia, since there's a lot of fleshy enemies, the pyrophobia is pretty good. And you got the option to change it to the cryophobia, which I was like, well, the cryophobia is not that great against fleshy enemies, so like it would be a good crowd control, because if you had a whole bunch of enemies, you could like hit them with the cryophobia, and then they would all have a whole bunch of no, let me get my sniper out. You could kind of slow them all down, and if you had the version that froze everybody, it would kind of be like a petrification spell in Skyrim. You just, or a petrification scroll. You just lay down the cryophobia in a group of enemies, and then everybody would just freeze in place. But I was like, I don't want to really lose the cryophobia, because that's a gun I really didn't play around with enough. So I'm going to keep my pyrophobia and not replace it with the cryophobia. Well, lay down, sucker.
That shut him up.
I wish somebody would make a mod for shotguns. Trying to think, maybe the damage prefix or the damage accessory would also get knockback. I don't think I've seen that mod yet. Maybe it's not possible, but Sledge's shotgun, somebody just did a mod where Sledge's shotgun gets its original knockback back. And there is knockback in the game, because when you shoot a suicide thing, you knock them with it in the hand, it knocks the grenade out their head, and they're kind of like stunned. And then some guns do knock back enemies if you're like really overpowered, but you don't kill them, it kind of knocks them back. So if it's in the game, I wish somebody would maybe like sit down and think, what's the best prefix, what's the most underutilized prefix, or maybe just put the damage accessory has knockback or something. Or maybe what's the weakest? What would be the weakest shotgun, and turn it into like a knockback? It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does knock an enemy back. And even if it's like change maybe one of the barrels to that, like there is a mod that I think turns all, I don't know if it's all Hyperion guns or just sometime. Hyperion barrel. Well, if it was the Hyperion barrel, then it would turn all of them, all the you know, any Hyperion barrel gun into a, you'd lose the conference call, you'd lose the interfacer, but basically it takes all their pellets, it puts it into a, makes it a 1 pellet shotgun, and it's called like slug shotguns. And in real life, they shoot beanbags to knock people, you know, knock people down and stuff like that. They shoot rubber slug guns. So maybe take the lowest damaging gun and maybe also add knockback to it. The lowest damaging prefix, whatever that is. Because I like the accuracy prefix. I like the dot prefix, which is the good damage over, you know, all around it. The accuracy prefix is one of the more powerful prefixes. Critical hit is good on a shotgun. I don't know what prefix would actually be the best to do that. That would be a mod I'd be interested in for Jacob's shotgun. Like maybe the bandit barrel had knockback. Maybe you could do that with the bandit, just the bandit barrel. So bushwhacks would have knockback, because bushwhacks on a Jacobs is not really good. They're probably the worst of the shotguns, because a single barrel just doesn't do enough. You don't have enough pellet counts and it gives you better accuracy, but it doesn't do enough compared to the matching bonuses on a coach gun. And then when you get a coach gun, you get match parts bonuses, which the accuracy is almost right up there with the single barrels, and then they're way more damage, way more pellet count. And then when you go to the bushwhack, you lose the bonuses, but you gain the pellets only, and you lose a crap ton of accuracy. And then when you go to a quad, you get some of the damage back and even more pellets, so then a quad becomes pretty good again. So the bushwhack is kind of a sad middle ground.
Vault Hunter, I'll get these civilians back to Sanctuary.
It kind of would mess up some of the best.
Smite these bitches.
Mess up some of the best, like matching parts on the bandit guns, but I could give up that. Who made that noise? He didn't drop crap.
That wasn't so difficult.
Oh, I gotta kill all the cultists?
Like children to an ice cream truck. Yeah.
I thought all I had to do was kill Gaten and some of the cultists. I guess I gotta kill all of
Would-be
them.
sacrifices back to Sanctuary. Great job taking care of the cult.
But
I tell you, man, being a god sucks.
I wish Borderlands would put the knockback in the shotguns like Borderlands 1 had. There shouldn't be a badass here. Why is there a badass there? Kill the badass.
Come on back.
That doesn't even make sense why there would be a badass. No. I might have to take a hit here. This shield's been holding up pretty good. See what I'm saying? New players, shield capacity for the crap, other stats is not good. This is just a 230 shield. There's better shields out there, but... And then it's doing damage for me. It's getting kills for me. Don't just look at the capacity and go, oh, it's big capacity, good. And then people go, with turtle shields, they go, oh my god, I gotta give up 87 health for like an extra 100 shield capacity. That's a good deal. Shields regenerate, health doesn't. And then when you start seeing over, like, levels higher, turtle shields higher than your level, you're like, oh my god, you gotta give up 250 health. Like this, 77 health. That's not bad. Because you get more than 77 health in capacity. If you want a big shield, use a turtle shield. Turtle shields come back, your health doesn't. If you want to use a tanky shield, that's how you want to do it. I'm going to go with the anarchy, and then honestly, the Let's Go is better than an anarchy. Okay, is this assault rifle? No, that can't be good. Better than what I got. This is not better. I mean, it's got a better fire rate, but this is a level 9. I don't want that. Well, this is only a 7. I'll take a Snyder. I don't want that. I don't need fire right now. I'll pick one up in the Bloodshot Stronghold. Well, matter of fact, I'm fixing to get a good fire shield. Flame of the Firehawk, but it's going to be... I think it's going to be level 10. Maybe 12. It's basically not going to be good. But we'll see. It might be usable with all my badass ranks, buffing it a little bit. And then I think, yeah. How many points do I have in Ward? 15% extra shield capacity. That's equivalent to about a level. It'd probably bring a level 10 up to about a level 11 capacity. We'll see. See what Flame of the Firehawk we get. If we get it inflammable, that'll be pretty good. We can go into the Bloodshot Stronghold and just like stand next to barrels and stuff and
Almost dead? I can fix that.
I don't know, more class mods are starting to show up.
Stay alive out there.
So maybe that vendor mod only kicks in after a certain level.
Fine,
They might
If
not
you
be
shop
bugged, it
anywhere
might
else,
just be
I'll have you
most of my other characters. I added it after most of my other characters got after like a level 11. I mean, not level 11, level 20. Most of my characters like 20, 24, 25 before I added it in, so...
I'm legally obligated to tell you.
See, this shield is not bad at all. Like 400, look at that compared to... That's a level 10. This is a level 11. You got to give up 82 capacity for almost double. I mean, you give up 82 health for double the capacity. If you want a big shield, that's a big shield. And then if you want a small shield, I still say the best shields at low level is your Malawan Spike shields, because
Look alive out there.
if this was playthrough 2 with those armored maniacs, I would want this shield I just picked up, the cryo. I mean, I think the electric or fire is actually better at this stage of the game, but that one, the stats are so good on it. Let me get that one, go turn in my in case my Flame of the Firehawk is a level 10 with no capacity. You know, really high flame damage, but crappy.
Friggin' cults.
240, yeah, 406. The Nova damage isn't that really good, but it does go a good distance. Yeah. Oh, and it's only a level 9. Oh, that's bad. I thought it would be like a 10 or 11. So we don't want this. It's a good shield, but
Haven't found anything good? My weapon machines will fix that for you.
can't really use it. I thought it'd be a little bit better than that.
Stock. Check back later.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna cut this one off here and then pick up in the dust and going to the Bloodshot Stronghold, because I think every mission we have so far is done. Yeah, and we'll catch a job. That's on the way. We'll get that when we go get the we'll go to the thing. We'll use the car to get denied by the guys, kill all the guys, and then we'll go to Happy Pigs Motel and do all those missions in the next one.